So here we are back on the police special. What we're doing now, I think the last video, we've got the fender mounted up. So now we're going to get this wheel on. The key to remember is the ABS bearing has to be on the left side of the bike. So that means your tire, the arrow of your tire for rotation, which I'm looking is right here. You want to make sure that the arrow is going the right way for your bearing. And then obviously the bearing race on the other side will be black or dark. Sometimes this one's blue, but the black side's usually the right side. And then the blue or the bronze or goldish or brown color is the left side where the ABS sensor is. So for the ABS sensor, all I did was take a little emery cloth, cleaned it up, and then this one just sits over here. And then here's our wheel spacer that will go in on this side, right here. So I'm gonna get the camera set up and then get this dropped in. So let's get her done. So I apologize if I get in the camera's way a little bit here. I have to bring the tire in from this side and up. So I got it on the stand, and this stand has a wheel chock on it. So again, our gold side or brown or bronze side goes on the left side. Excuse me, the left side of the bike when you're on it, the right side when we're down here. So I'm just sliding this in. Again, this fender is a 19-inch wheel, for a 19-inch wheel. And that's exactly what we have here. So it's very tight. So just something to think about. So sometimes putting a wheel up in, especially a rear wheel, is a little bit easier when there's two people. So what I have to do is I got the left side slid in through the rotor. And I do that because we have our right side rotor off. So now I'm gonna slide this in. I gotta back it in a little. Get my ABS spacer in on this side. Every little angle plays into the wheel. It's pretty amazing. I may have to just drop it down a little to get that aligned. That's okay. We'll drop it down. There we go. Slide this spacer back up. Right there, just got it. There we go. There it is. So, sorry about that. So, we'll bring her over. Just gonna shorten up this stand here. So we've got the wheel spacer in here. We don't have a caliper on yet for this side, excuse me. On this side, we've got our ABS sensor here. And then obviously the ABS bearing is this bearing. Tough to see. I know I need brake pads, but there is the rotor. And I've got, or excuse me, the caliper, and I got the rotor mounted between the caliper. You can see it on both sides there, so that's good. It spins freely. You can hear the brakes rubbing just a little, but that's okay. Once I apply them a few times. So I'm gonna set the camera here, and I'm gonna mount this other caliper on right now. Again, I just slung it over top of the crash bar, So you can see there's very little pads left on there. You see, I just bought the bike in October. I've only rode it once. So I'll definitely be putting pads in there. You can see how far the piston's out, so there's plenty of room for new pads to go in there, obviously. So now I'm gonna slide this caliper over the rotor, and then I'm not gonna put Loctite on these right now. Main reason is because I'm going to end up putting new pads in. So I'm just gonna do them up. Again, I only took the right side off. I'll mic these rotors. When I got them from the guy, it was an original takeoff. So they should be in half decent shape. Obviously, I want them to pass safety and I want to be able to stop. So we will make sure of that. So I'm just going to tighten these down. Again, no Loctite on them at the moment. We'll worry about that when I put pads in. So that's done. So what I'm going to do now is I've got to tighten up the axle. So I can do it two ways. You know, I can do it a bunch of ways, but I like to, I'll run it up my nut. I'm going to move you to the other side here so you can see. So this is the axle here. You can stick a bar through here. You can do whatever you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the nut on the other side. I'm going to run it up, but then I'll tighten up my pinch bolt. And then I don't need to put anything in there. But I like to just run it up first. So here's our axle out on this side. I'm going to slide that on. I slide my nut on. And I'm going to just take my wrench and turn it. When I feel the other side turn, which you just did, now I'll tighten up these pinch bolts. Just something I like to do because I don't want to over tighten and draw in my fork legs. I don't want to do that. So at least if I tighten this side up, as I draw it in, all it's going to do is tighten up the space in between the gaps. Everyone has a way of doing things differently, but it's just the way I've always done it. Again, I will go over it and put Loctite on it and put torque wrench on it, but I'm just going back and forth here, like I say, mock-up stage. Always have a piece of paper with a list of things you gotta go back and do. Nothing worse than not knowing what you gotta do, and then time comes and you forget, and you're like, oh my Lord, I forgot to do that, and then you're down the road and not good. Pinch bolts tight. Now we'll come back over and just tighten up the axle here. Again, I'll use a torque wrench for the final torque, but just for mock-up, make sure it's not going anywhere. You don't want preload on anything. So you can really hear those brake pads rubbing right now. Pistons are out pretty far. But let's take a look. There's our fender with our enforcer wheel on there. Looks good. Like I say, there's a couple scratches. My dear friend who has a jewelry shop, is gonna try and buff them out. Things happen, but so on and so forth. Like I say, this fender is made for a 19-inch wheel. So it's very tight, but it looks very good. So I'm happy with it. Very happy with it. So next on this, obviously I'll get my manual out, torque the end caps, torque the axle bolt, and excuse me, and then I'll leave the caliper bolts till last because I'll order in some pads. Here it is from the front, brand new tire, enforcer wheel, it's balanced, ABS bearing in, ABS sensor in, spacer in, so looking good. So like I say, till next time, I appreciate you tuning in, and thank you very much, and we will see you next time.